Okay, it seems that we're recording the session. As I mentioned, I'm trying to record each and every session that we have. The first ones I did with audio, and I already transcribed it. I'll show you later. It's available to you inside Blackboard in a folder called Course Reader. Okay, I'll put every lesson there. But the demonstrations with the software, I'll try to do this, okay? I'll try to record them so it will be easier if you want to go back to it, look at the demonstration, like try at home, whatever, you still have the material available to you. I totally recommend you to download those materials so you can have that in your whatever, in your external hard drive or cloud services as something permanent that you will use after the course. Okay, it's always good to have a reference. I still feel a little awkward with it, almost like a YouTuber, an influencer or something, but that's okay. So all in benefit of my students. Okay, so that being said, I would rather have you right now looking at what I am doing instead of trying to do that inside the software, okay? Because obviously you will have plenty of time to experiment with the software during the lesson. It's not a long demonstration, but we want to open Adobe Illustrator, okay? As you know by now, Adobe Illustrator is a software for vector illustration, vector graphics, vector communication. We will dive into the concept of what is a vector file and what is a bitmap file further on the course. But right now, we want to play around with simple tools, okay? We want to explore the things that you are allowed based on the briefing that I gave you. So we will look into geometric forms, how to change colors, and how to create lines and curves, okay? Well, first of all, this is the interface for Adobe Illustrator, okay? You might remember last time in like our first experiment, like that free moment of creating mood boards, you explored the first two tools right here, the ones that are for selecting and motion, okay? Today we will be looking especially into this one. If you count from the top to bottom, you have one, two, three, four, five. You have a rectangle. Um, if you click and hold, you will see more options. Okay, I totally have to change the language on my software so you, because right now you're seeing it in Portuguese in one way or another. It's pretty self-explainable. You have rectangles, round cornered rectangles, um, rounded, elliptical, circular possibilities, polygons and stars. Okay, you can customize all of them and create different shapes out of it. With time, what we will see and what we will understand, and that's absolutely useful for you, is that we can represent absolutely everything with geometrical shapes. Okay, given the fact that you have prior knowledge on, let's say, the representation of the human body, of an environment, try to find the connections. Let's always go one step further than the technical part, the software, right? So try to look around you and try to exercise that recognition of geometrical shapes. That will help you a lot when we're talking about computer graphics, visual communication, graphic design. Okay. The other tool that we will use today is the pen tool that is right here, is the third one, but I will focus right now on geometrical shapes. Um, Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole page. There you go. And then I want to create a rectangle. Let's say I want to, I don't know, cover the whole background with color. So you see that I selected the tool. My mouse, it's not a pointer anymore. It's this crosshair thing, right? Like almost like a plus. And that indicates the exact point when we click. That's the point where is the start of our geometrical form, okay? We can do that in two ways. First one, and probably the simplest one, it's click and drag. And there you go. I'm creating a geometrical form. It's coming out. You see? Whenever I just leave it and I create the geometrical form, okay? While I'm holding the button of the mouse, I'm dragging and then I'm shaping it, creating the proper size and proportion, okay? When I leave the mouse button, it's done. Things to observe. Same way as we noticed when we were working with images, resizing. We have proportion. So whenever you hold shift, remember my tip, one hand always on the keyboard, try to remember the shortcuts, okay? If you hold shift, you will always have that shape in proportion. So that means that even though I'm holding the rectangle here, if I hold shift, it will become a square, okay? That's it. And while I'm holding shift, is keeping proportion. That serves also for other forms here inside the geometrical forms button. So let's say that I'm creating with this circular elliptical tool, you see, without the shift, and now holding the shift, okay? Shift will be a very useful tool on the keyboard, not only for proportion, but also you will notice with time that it helps us aligning things. And if we are rotating objects, it will give us I'll show you, it's better. You see, I selected the object. When I get near the corner, my mouse is not a pointer anymore. It's this little curve with two arrows that demonstrates that we're about to turn the object around, okay? It will turn based on this small dot right here, which is our anchor point. That will become relevant and also in our next lessons, okay? So just remember anchor point. Right now, what we're seeing here is this curve, and if I click and drag, you'll see the angle right there. You see? 10 degrees, 20, 45 degrees, okay? Now let me go back. If I'm holding shift, I will jump exclusively between 45 degrees intervals, okay? You see? That helps a lot, especially when we're talking about alignment and composition, okay? Right now, we have three silly objects in this canvas right here. But imagine that you are creating complex shapes. You have dozens of objects. It's always useful to work with them aligned and understanding clearly what are the intervals that we're working on it. Okay? Is it hard? No, simple, right? Now, you will see that I recommend that, especially in the beginning, if you don't actually know the interface, you can always customize the interface, okay? But right now, I would tell you to use the workspace that it's called Essential Classics, okay? Because that will give you the most like maybe the full experience of the software, okay, based on the history of vector illustration, okay. That means that with that interface selected, we will have these tools right here, this set of tools on the left bar, and a changing top bar right here. A changing top bar means that depending on what I have selected, you will see different possibilities of editing on the top, okay? So, but mostly in what is pretty much consistent in that aspect is the color for the object itself and the outline of it. Okay. So right now I am selecting, I'm dragging the square that I have created. You see that it's white, but all the shapes that we created are white with a black outline. This was the setting here on the color selectors. Okay. Now, if I click on it and I change it right here, let me click. You see, it's a drop down menu. I click on it and I have the fill color. Let me select red. Boom, there you go. Red. The outline is still black. It's a very thin outline right now. It's 1.1 pixel, okay? But I can select a different color if I want to. Let's say that we wanted what? Yellow. Let me make that outline thicker. So I can use the drop down menu right here, or I can just click this up arrow and there I'll have a color outline. Okay? Is that hard? No, right? It's a simple thing. So now I'll just randomly select other colors because I want to talk about how we're actually piling up shapes right here, okay? So just out of uh, training, I'm creating like different outlines. Let's get a gray one. Yeah, black outline. This is the boring one. This is the the rainy day circle. Okay, now look here. Look what happens. I started by creating this square, right? If I drag it, ooh, it is beneath the elliptical form, and that one is also beneath the circle. Well, always when you're working with graphics softwares, there's always a hierarchy that it's pretty similar to, imagine that you're creating a collage and you're getting magazines and newspapers and you're cutting, I don't know, photos or text, whatever. Each of those pieces is an object. And as you put them in a sheet of paper, over a sheet of paper, you will have layers, okay? Let's not confuse that with a layer structure that we also have here inside Illustrator that we will see further on the course. But right now we have this piling logic, okay? But, well, I wanted my square to be on top. How can I do that? Select the object that you want to change the order, click with the right button, and you will go on Organize. You will have options like you can bring one step to the front, you can bring all the way to the front, you can bring one step back, and you can bring it all the way to the back. Okay, so just as a demonstration, let's make the circle go one step back, so it will be behind this but on top of this. Okay, there you go. Click, Organize, and one step back. Done. Okay, still it's in front of the square. Now, if I'm using this one right now as an object and I want to bring that all the way to the back, so organize, send to back. There you go. So this will be a regular procedure for you all the time. You will be playing around with this, changing the order of things, okay? The other thing that can be quite useful is whenever you select objects, you will see that here on top, you have alignment options, okay? So it's pretty self-explainable. If you look at it, you have two rectangles and a line on the left. You have two rectangles and a vertical line on the center, and then two rectangles and the vertical line on the right. That means alignment by the right, alignment by the center of the objects, and alignment by the left of the object. Same goes for the horizontal alignment. You can align them by the top, by the middle, and the bottom, okay? Let's play around with it. I'm selecting all objects. How do I select objects? Click and drag where you don't have anything, like here, for example. So if the line that I'm dragging covers, you don't have to select all of them, like the whole thing, okay? You can just click like this, like a line. You see it? Okay, let's try to align them on the left. Boom. By the center. Boom. Right. Okay. And just to demonstrate. Top. Oh, what happened? You see that we aligned it by the right side and then on top. So it follows whatever we're doing. Middle and bottom. Okay. There are other options like this that we have a distribution, and we will check those possibilities a little bit later, okay? Mostly I don't want to put too much information into this first demonstration, okay? What I find quite useful for me, especially when I'm creating like graphic pieces, advertising, or something like that, you have something like this that it's quite confusing. I don't like it. So let me just play around with the size a little bit. So I'll keep it elliptical, and then I do something like this. Okay, let's organize that by the center. It gives me some sort of assurance that it's aligned. It's not based on my eyesight that can be always a little bit um, not 100% calibrated. Okay, so the software helps a lot. Same goes for the distribution. Okay, if for example right here, you see that the square, it's way more it's near the circle, and I want a similar distribution between these elements. So I just drag it, and you see that at some point my mouse will go almost like a magnet to a certain point. And then visually, we have the indication that the space between the objects on the left and on the right is absolutely the same, okay? It gives us precision. That helps a lot, okay? We were talking about coherence, symmetry, asymmetry. Remember, this was the argument in our prior lesson. So that's a good way of being sure that you have symmetry, or even if you want to force out asymmetry or whatever, it helps the composition and the balance. Okay, so we saw shapes. And I told you that you could create shapes two ways. First one was clicking and dragging. The second one, actually, let's get the star okay? Instead of dragging, you can be, it depends on how nerdy and and how perf how perfectionist you are, because you can always click and type in the specifications. So for example, I selected the star, okay? And I just clicked instead of clicking and dragging. So you can define the size of it, okay? Think about it as a wheel in the case of the star. We can determine the spokes, okay? So it's quite good for me as it is right now. But we have 5 points for the star. It's a classic star, okay? Let's increase that. Let's make like an asterisk or something, okay? 8. And then, okay, boom. Wow, quite shocking. I saw your reaction. Okay. Uh, Obviously, it's an object, so I can manipulate it as we done with the rest. Curiously, it's using the same colors that we established for the rectangle, right? So notice that when you are creating anything inside Illustrator, it will always have this as reference. So I'm selecting the star, but I have red and yellow in my colors. Red for the fill, yellow for the outline, okay? That means that if I create a star, let's now make one by clicking and dragging, it will come out with those colors, right? Um, okay, good. Um, let's say that I want to create another one exactly like this. Let's get rid of the top part because we're creating something new right now. I want to create something just like this one. How would you do that? Copy paste? That's the classical approach. Control C, Control V if you are using a PC. If you're using a Mac, you have Command C, Command V. That's the key that is on the bottom of your keyboard, on the right side and the left side, depending what is more comfortable for you. So let me show you. If I go Control C, I just copied it. You can always go on edit, copy, but that's the thing that we were trying to avoid, like losing time scrolling the mouse all the way to one menu, right? But you always have it on the drop down menu on edit, okay? But if you use Control C and Control V, look what happens. Control V, boom, pasted. Where? In the center of the page. That's not useful at all, because let's say that I want it to be here. So it might get messy when you have lots of objects on your page. And it's always like accumulating steps. So right next to command, you have, if you're using a PC, you have Alt. If you're using a Mac, you have Option. So let's hold Option, click the object, and just drag. Ooh, there it is. There's my copy. Okay? So Alt or Option is always a tool for copying, duplicating objects inside Illustrator. Actually, you have other graphic platforms that are now embedding the same thing, the same logic. We will go through other softwares. You will see that Alt, Shift, Control, most of these commands are now becoming more and more unified because it makes sense. Because we, as graphic designers, as artists, we are using the same tools, the same software. So it makes sense that we have some sort of alignment in that sense. But let's do that once again. I'm holding Alt, and I want to be sure that these objects are aligned. But you know, I'm free right now. It's floating in a weird way. I don't want that. How would you do it to be sure that this is aligned with the original one? Remember, I told you the solution is also with the reach of another finger. You have the the one finger holding the Alt or Option, and then you have another one on Shift. Shift, remember, it holds proportion or alignment. So let's say I'm holding Alt, dragging, and now I'm holding Shift. Ooh, you see what happens? I'm trying to bring it up with my mouse and I can't. It keeps the same line. If I bring up too much, it will jump. Where? 45 degrees angle. Same logic that we saw when we were rotating the object, okay? So there you go. Very simple way to create objects. And this is also one of the reasons that we keep seeing graphic materials using like the classic shapes. It's actually very simple to work around that. Is it good enough? I know you're eager to work, but just bear with me for a couple of minutes more, okay? Because now I want to drag this. I like the arrangement. It's kind of good. It's not 100%, but it's kind of good. I could try to fix it a little bit, but now, okay, hear me out. I want to drag all of this to the top. How can we do it? It doesn't make sense to drag like one and then two. No, let's go back. Remember, we can select objects and we can drag them. But if we understand that the spacing between these three objects and whatever, their colors, their shapes, their size, that they're going to be just like that, and that's definitive, okay? I'm not changing that. Well, I can change if I want to, but in a practical way, it would be better if they were just like one single object, right? So to do that, I can group those objects together. You say you have group by clicking with the right mouse button. And there you go. Now I don't have to drag my mouse around. I simply click on whichever object and they will be together. That means also that if I resize it, I will resize the whole group. Or if I turn them around, I will turn the whole group, okay? So group is a good tool for us. I need to change that. Now I thought about it and I want it in a different way. I can always ungroup. Click with the right mouse button and you go ungroup. Perfect. Now I have individual shapes. What about the limits, the constraints of the canvas? You see what I'm doing here? I'm making my shapes to bleed out from the canvas. If I export this file, I can say to the software that I want to export with the limit of the canvas. So I can simply ignore the fact that these objects are bleeding out the page, okay? If this is the arrangement, if this is the what we want to see inside the page, that's good enough, okay? I did this so we can create some space to see lines. Lines are a very special subject on vector tools, okay? Um, we have a tool that is meant for creating line segments. Let's change a little bit of our color right here. I'll get some like strong pink and with no fill color, okay? Just the outline, just the stroke. So you can use the line segment tool if you it works the same way as the geometric forms. Click and drag. I'm hearing clicks. I'm hearing lots of clicks. So you see, same way as the geometric forms, I clicked it and I drag it, okay? It's a straight line. It's free. I can do that with whatever length I want and whatever angle I want. If I hold shift, you know what's going to happen. I am constrained by the horizontal line and then 45 degrees intervals, okay? Also very useful. That's a line, okay? Simple line. But let's say that we don't want simple. We want complex. We want to be able to represent curves, and we want to be able to create complex geometrical shapes. There enters the pen tool. The pen tool is probably the most is your best friend. I mean, in terms of vector graphics, from my perspective, is my best friend. So the pen tool works in a slightly different way, because with geometric shapes and line segment tools, we clicked and dragged, right? With the pen tool, please look up, look at the screen. What's going to happen is that I'm not clicking and dragging. I simply click, and now I created a point. I'm saying to the software that whatever I'm creating later, it's starting on that point, okay? So that means that if I go like this, you can always hold shift once again. It's, I'll do that, I'll click, okay. There you go. If we look as it is the same result, right? But the magic here, it goes a little bit beyond the line, because you see what happens if I keep clicking? Look at it. It's there's a new segment connected to that second point. So that means that I can say, well, I'm continuing this. Ooh, let's hold shift to keep some sort of angle. I'm not taking care of the size of them. Okay, I'm just like randomly playing around. You see, so the idea of working with the pen tool is that we can create a complex shape or a complex line with several segments connected. If I want to close my geometric shape, I go back to my departuring point, and you will notice right now that what happens right next to the, look at the mouse, we see the tip of the pen, right? When we get to the point, there's a little circle that appears right next to it. That means we came full circle. We went all the way back to our departuring point. Now, that is an object. Look at it. How beautiful it is. I'm turning it around. It gives me some sort of like mountain vibes right now. Okay, you see it? What about curves? Because this is like straight lines. How do we do curves? Well, the pen tool also has what we call traditionally as a Bezier approach, okay? That means that if I click and drag, I have these handles, you see? These handles determine the size of the curve horizontally and vertically. So that means that if I just keep going, see, let me click right here. Ooh. Once again, not taking too much, not paying too much attention if it's correct or not. I'm just playing around, okay? So you have the possibility of editing curves. Let's make it a little crazier so you can understand that we can create more organic and complex shapes out of it. Okay, let's just close this. It's horrible. It's horrible. As a shape is absolutely horrible. Okay, cool. Questions for now. Are we good? Breathing in the whole information. This is the reason why I told you that it's a good thing to have the recording if you always want to come back to it. Obviously I'll be with you individually too. So that being said, um, we understand now that lines, shapes, points, curves, they're all part of the same nature, okay? So, well, if I understand that every geometric shape is based on line segments, and every line segment is based on dots, I can always play around with my dots. Okay, because up until this point, we were using the mouse with the black selection tool, right? And then we would like you drag and change the whole object. Now, if we use the white one, ooh, this pointer right here, we see some sort of change. Look at the object itself. This red star that we have. Black mouse selection, and then the white mouse selection, which is called direct selection. You see what changed? There's a square around the star. Right here we don't have it anymore. It's not about the object itself. We can see the points. And that means that we can edit each individual point. I click on it and I drag it. I click on it and I drag it. Wow. Once again, I click on it and I drag it. Customizing the shapes. Think about it. Let's say that we're creating a character, which is something that we will do in a couple of lessons, okay? I can customize it. I can create the precise shapes and curves, and I will have that in a vector file, which is a matrix for whatever resolution that I will need in the future. Okay, you will understand, for example, that most of the cartoons that we see on TV nowadays have their characters based on this logic of geometric shapes or like simple curves and simple objects because they're coming from this type of illustration. Okay, now the question, am I able to transform a dot into a Bezier style curve? Well, I might be. So remember that Alt is a good friend of ours, or Option if you have it on your mm, if you're using Mac or PC, changes from Alt and Command. I keep telling you that. We will have a possibility to manipulate individual dots with that. Or if you click and hold, okay, the pen tool, you have a pen with a plus, a pen with a minus. That means to add dots to a specific line or to subtract. Now I'm losing my English. It happens from time to time. Subtract points from a shape or a line. And then the last one, which is this just an angle, okay? It's not the point of the pen anymore. you'll see that if we click on that one, this one is a sharp edge, okay? Two line segments encountering each other at a single point. Now let me click and drag. So let's make a round star right now. It will become something like a flower. Ooh, cool. Okay. I see that you are already having fun with it. Nice. Yeah, I like it too. Uh, well, that makes things easier because we have to incorporate the logic of vector illustration. I keep telling you that these lessons go beyond the simple knowledge of the software, the simple technical knowledge of what tools are we talking about. It's always about changing a little bit our state of mind, our mindset towards the illustration, because I know you all know how to draw on paper. You have pens and pencils and paper. You understand the logic and the flow of it. Inside vector illustration softwares, we have to understand this, what we're addressing today: shapes, lines, dots, curves. Because if I ask you to draw, let me get rid of this. If I ask you to draw a flower, what are you going to do? Regularly, your mindset would be, okay, I have to go and draw a curve and another curve and another curve. That's the sequence. That's muscle memory on you right now. But instead, given the fact that what we just did, think about it. Okay, what do I need? I want a flower with 10 petals. I click the star and I put 10. There it is. Okay. Well, even in the simplest way, we can just do this if we want to. Instead, look at it. You have not this is still the black mouse, okay? The traditional selection tool. It goes by the key, the shortcut V. Okay. Remember, shortcuts are our friends. They save time in our process. So V for black selection, simple selection. A for the white one, which is direct selection, the ones that works with dots. Okay. So now using V, the black selection, I will see not only the dots that I can manipulate, obviously, but also this kind of different circle that has a dot, a dark dot on the inside, a little bit of white spacing, okay, and then closes the circle. This icon right here, you see that the mouse, when it gets to it, it just shows a curve. So you can round edges with it. Ooh, it's a sun right now, right? Okay, I'm rounding the edges. Or let's do that with the tips. So you see, but once again, I'm working with the object. I'm not working with the dots. Cool. Let's go the other way around. Let's go back to it. If I'm selecting the A, I can definitely work individually with the dots, okay? I I have the same thing, the same logic right here, you see? And I can use that tool that I showed you, the pen tool, to make it round in a more customized way. We can create very organic shapes because obviously you will be able to change the handles later individually. Okay. Anyway, this is just out of a demonstration, okay? It's some sort of a blob right now. It's not my flower anymore. Okay? You got it? Now, take your time to experiment with it. Obviously, it goes without saying, understanding a software and understanding a new process of creating illustrations comes with repetition. It's just like going to the gym. Okay, you're trying to create muscle memory right now. It will take time. It will feel dreadful. I don't know if you know how to drive, but think about it. For when you started to learn how to ride a bike or how to drive, you're like, okay, for a bike, oh, one foot, another, and then balance, and then my hands. So you're paying attention to each step. Now you ride the bike without thinking because you created this chain of neurons. The neuroplasticity helps a lot. It's in a second level of processing. You can talk while you're riding a bike, or as the Italians do, they speak on the cell phone. If you look on the streets, they're like riding a bike and talking to someone at home. Um, or the car, same logic. You're one foot and then another, and then changing the gears and whatever. And then people become used to, as we get used to something, our brain puts the whole processing in a second level. But to create that process, it's tiring. So you're not bad at it, you're just beginning. Okay? To give yourself the proper time to be bad on it. It's the first time that you're doing with that logic. So this is the reason why I gave you a simple exercise. Our exercise is, ooh, sorry, I just closed my window. Our exercise is we are trying to represent an emotion with the most basic things: lines, curves, and geometrical shapes. Okay? No color. Okay? Grayscale is okay. You can go from 100% white to 100% black with everything in between. No problem. What can we do? Well, everything that we explored right here, right now. What I don't want you to do is this. You got, I don't know, happiness, and you were like, oh, I got happiness, so now let's make it like this. Click, click, and then maybe I can add a point, just demonstrating, always using an opportunity to demonstrate a little bit. So let me just select the dot. I'm dragging it down. Woo. And then maybe a curve, right? Because it's a happy situation. And then yes, the work is done. Oh yeah, I got happy. Oh, no, I don't want you to use that facial expression resource, because that's obviously the basics of our understanding of emotions. No, what I wanted to do is try to create balance, unbalance, symmetry, asymmetry, a composition that creates tension or relieves tension depending on the emotion you got. Um, Rhythms with lines and objects, repetition, angles whenever you need aggression, organic shapes whenever you need to express some sort of embodied feeling. I know that you have disgust, for example. So Try to reason how shapes, their repetition, and their distribution over a canvas actually connects with that embodied feeling of the emotion. Okay? I'll stop the recording and I'll go around helping you during the process. Okay? I hope it is recorded.